Now, right now, when I add a new flick, it goes to the end of the list. What if I wanted to go to the beginning instead? Yeah? Unshift, the opposite of push, basically. Unshift onto an array instead of push. So that'll work for the array. So instead of this.flicks.push, flick, this.flicks.unshift. Took me forever to memorize that. Just wasn't natural. You know what shift does? JavaScript, array, shift. It's the opposite of pop. Removes the first element from an array and returns it. So shift to remove the first element, unshift to add the first element. That's how we end up with an awkward name like unshift. What if we want to add it to the front of the UL instead of the end? Any ideas? Instead of sticking it on the end of the list, we want to stick it on the beginning. The only way we've learned to add things to the DOM is append child, right? And append adds it to the end. Anybody know? Anybody have a guess? Yeah? Like actually modify the first one and then append something? That sounds like a lot of work. Is it just a different function? Yeah. What's the opposite of append? Prepend? Let's see if we're that lucky. Parent node.prepend. But there's a catch. This is an experimental technology. Check the browser compatibility table carefully before using this in production. IE doesn't support it at all. Edge doesn't support it at all. So, insert before. Wouldn't it be nice? Node insert before. Node insert before inserts a node before the reference node as a child of a specified parent node. So it's a little more complicated. You can't just tell it to stick it at the beginning, but you can tell it to stick it before a specific existing node. So you have to know the parent you want to prepend it to, and you have to know what the first child already is. How can we find out the first child?
It's the first in the array. Or, no, the last, I guess.
Yeah, but that's not the LI. We need the actual thing from the DOM. I'll save you some trouble. Yes, there is a first child. There's first child and there's first element child. So first child could be text. First element child will always be an element. So that one seems simple enough. Let's see. App.flicks, not flicks, list, right? App.list.firstChild or first element child returns that first LI. Cool. So we need to use insert before with that. So insert before, the first argument is the thing we're adding, and then the one we're putting it before. Kind of a pain in the neck, but not the end of the world. So instead of append child, we could say this.list.insert before. Item is the thing we're inserting, and we're inserting it before whatever the list's first child is right now. This dot list dot first element child. In case there is some text before that first li, I want to make sure it's the li. Does it work? "21 Jump Street." Magic Mike. There you go. It went on top instead of the bottom. And if we look at app.flicks, indeed, it's at the beginning of the array instead of the end. Go us. What was our last commit? Last commit was adding the ID to the data set. Add flicks to the beginning of the list rather than the end. Questions?